The Minnesota Vikings have had a lot of success with UDFA classes in the past, and one guy has a seemingly easy path to make the roster. Let's talk about it. Over the 3 years that Kwesi Adofo-Mensah has been in charge of the Minnesota Vikings, he has had great success with undrafted free agents. Yes, the guys that you necessarily would not think are going to make the team usually end up doing so. Over the course of the last 3 years, 8 have made the Minnesota Vikings. Shockingly, all of them on defense. And there's one common thread with all 3 years. An edge rusher has made the roster. And that's a really interesting paradigm when you talk about it, because edge rusher is usually viewed as one of the more premier positions in the National Football League. But the Vikings are building out the back end of their roster with UDFA edge rushers. So what's the catch? Why are they so good at this? I'm not really sure, but they seem to be taking players who are undervalued by the market. Andre Carter was undervalued because he didn't have play strength. Gabe Murphy was undervalued because he didn't have arm length. And then Bo Richter was also undervalued because he didn't have arm length either. It's really interesting. And when you look at the first UDFA edge rusher in 2022, Luigi Villain, he just didn't have any kind of production profile, and he was an older prospect, but he had athleticism. All those guys ended up making the roster. Now, Bo Richter is more of a tweener between linebacker and like edge rusher, so on ball and off ball. He can do both. He did both at Air Force. He's more of a special teams maven. But when you look at this year's class, the UDFA class, there's one player that stands out. Tyler Batty, the edge rusher from BYU. He's about to turn 26 on Friday, but he's a really talented player. And one of the things that makes him so talented is run defense. He does not possess a lot of the athleticism upside that you would expect from a player who the Vikings would have brought in, because they really target those high upside athletes. But what Batty does is provide a baseline floor. He's 6'4", 275, and he's a high motor effort guy. Really good in run defense, solid, can shed blocks, more of a base 4-3 end, but if you put on 10, 15 pounds, he can be one of those space eaters at a 4-eye and be able to really handle himself in the run game. Or you can keep him at 275 pounds, and he can play base end for you, be a stand-up linebacker, utilize some of those odd front structures, and he can be able to set an edge. Those things are impactful. Now, he's not going to add a ton of juice in the pass rush, but he's had pretty consistent numbers throughout his entire tenure at BYU, but he is 26 years old. That can be a real deterrent for a team to potentially pick him versus somebody else. Maybe there's a 22-year-old who's got a similar profile. They're like, you know what? I'll take the younger guy. And that pushes a guy like him down. But they also made a sizable commitment to Batty, $259,000. $259,000 in fully guaranteed money, 25 of which was in signing bonus. The rest, well, it's a slightly more than what a practice squad spot would be. So Batty's going to get a little bit of money no matter what. But when they've made these kind of commitments, those guys usually make the roster. Batty's going to be one to watch, and he might not be exciting, but solid play and consistent play, especially on first and second down, is definitely worth the price of admission. I'm Tyler Forness with ADZ Sports. Skol Vikings.